So today I'm here with Kelly Pegues, and Kelly, just tell us a little bit about what you do in your line of work.
So I've been working as a behavior therapist for about 11 years. Been kind of in that role for a lot longer than that, just because that's how life it's brought that to me. But specifically, like the last 11 years, I work with kids with special needs, and that could be from autism, it could be to severe mental retardation. That's not a word that people really like to hear, but that's the real thing. That could be whatever. It could have been from a brain injury, from birth, whatever that is. So there's a full spectrum there, and not just in the autism spectrum, but a full spectrum of kids. Could be sensory processing disorder, any kind of thing.
That makes sense. Yeah, very good. So what is it that, what made you choose that line of work?
It's funny, reading over your questions, makes me nervous to say this out loud, kind of what brought me there. It's been a lifelong thing that kids with special needs, we've just kind of always been drawn to each other. But growing up with Dave and I, we got married young and having kids young, I did not have a sense of self-identity, which I think a lot of women go through. But I really struggle with depression and anxiety, and so I seeked out a counselor who really worked with me to sort of define me and my love and my passion. What were the things that made me feel the best? And the things that made me feel the best were my relationship with the Lord and the things that came natural to me. And the things that came natural to me were relationships with kids and adults even that had some kind of special need. Yeah. We just were drawn to each other, and she sort of helped direct me into working in that line of work, working in group homes, and it just kind of went from there. Yeah. I've pulled out of that a few different times because I thought, just because I'm good at something or that I love things about it, does that mean that's what my career should be? And I've pulled away from it because I thought, well, maybe I should do other things, because there are other things I'm skilled at. Mm-hmm. But my heart never feels complete unless I'm working in this.
Yeah, in that field. That's good. So in this series, we've looked at the idea that work is an expression of our worship to God. That what we do in our careers should be worship and adoration and giving glory to God. How do you see your job and your responsibilities in your work as an expression of worship to God?
I think that's kind of a hard thing to define, but I can tell you when there's a lack of that I realize what that really means, having a worship in your job, showing that worship to God and our Creator. And when I say the lack of, when we're on vacation or we are away from what it is that I'm doing, that I feel this major sense of lack of purpose. Yeah. And I don't think that purpose is just comes from anywhere. I think that is a God-given thing. And so it always, you never like to go back to work after a vacation, but I know that I feel just different, and I feel that God purpose when I'm back working with the kids. So I feel like that is a sense of worship. Yeah. But also in that, I have this morning duty that I do in the morning with the kids. It's not my assigned duty, but it's something that I do to get to know the kids. So at breakfast time, they're all chatting and hanging out, but that's my opportunity to, I feel make a difference. Yeah. And it's just weird how that is, just chatting with the kids, but looking back through the day at what that meant to some of these kids, that was maybe their only time that they really got to see what I hope would be the face of Jesus is to them, because I love them unconditionally. We have a lot of kids that come in dirty and haven't had baths. They are wearing the same clothes that they wore for days before, and these are kids that are just general education kids as well as my special needs kiddos, and that's just in this community. But outside of them, just showing people love that are different, I don't know, it's just, to me, I just feel like that's the right thing to do. Sure. And that's what we're supposed to do. It's just the right thing, and I feel like that's the right thing to do, is just love on these people that most people don't take the time to do.
That's right. That's good. Very good. So would you say in your conversation you just had, one of the things that I picked up on that in there was the idea of not only is your ministry an expression of worship, but your career, your job, also is a place of fulfillment for you. Can you speak about that?
It is 100% of fulfillment there, and sometimes I actually think that's where I get a sense of confusion about it, because I do receive so much from it that I do often wonder, like, I have to check myself and make sure that it's not a pride thing, that I'm doing what I'm doing because I really do enjoy it so much. I don't enjoy working. I don't. If I could do this for free every day, I don't know why that would change the dynamic of it for me. It probably would. I mean, I would love, I think about missions and things like that. I would love to be able to do this in that respect, because I sometimes do feel like taking money for something that I love and I feel passionate about feels a little wrong. Which, that I've like started this company, and I haven't done anything with it, but like I've started it, and I know that there's a vision behind this. I feel like it's a God-inspired vision, but I'm struggling with making it a business, simply because like I know that it was a God-given moment that came to me, and I just think, not that God has a problem with me making money, but I don't know that that's what I'm supposed to do with it. And I'm struggling with that, because I don't know what to do with that, because I don't want to turn it into something that was not God intended. So I'm like, I almost feel like, could I have the burning bush to define that for me? Because I don't want to spoil something that He made good.
That's right. So with that business venture you're looking at, this new thing you've created, explain a little bit to me about what that means, and how does that work, and what's it all about?
So the business is really, it's all about sensories. We are sensory human beings. That was one of the most amazing things that God created in us, is that we don't exist if we didn't have our senses. Everything. Like, I just use this example as that if you were laying in bed in a coma, the only way to know that there was any life going on in you is doctors come in and they like poke you, and if you have something that responds, if you have a leg that kicks, if you have brain activity that they see, they immediately jump in and start acting to stimulate those senses more. That's exactly what my business is. It's creating sensory paths, and it's not a new concept. It is something that's been around for a long time, but what it does is it allows kids, especially kids with special needs who are mostly lacking in their sensory processing, it allows them the opportunity to do this in a really fun way, to get all of their sensories moving. So all your neural pathways are awakened, and it's a pretty cool thing. But kids can, like everyday kids, adults can use it. Of course, it wouldn't look the same for an adult as it would for a child. But my gear is for the kids because it's fun.
Very good. So one of the thoughts in this idea of sacred work is understanding and wrapping our mind around the concept that our work is not just about a paycheck, but it's about ministry. And ministry, I think a good definition of the word ministry is meeting needs with love. And so there's all kind of needs. How would you view your career, your job placement right now as ministry? So
peace is creating a peace in families and kids when they have their needs met. They're better people. If you live in constant turmoil because you're not having your needs met, maybe that is some sort of therapy that you need. Maybe it's simply because your needs aren't being met and your senses aren't being met because you have a lack of food. Whatever that is, I feel like that is where my heart comes into my job, that I'm able to look at those things and to help people connect the dots where they're supposed to go. And a lot of that is with families. It's like I get to make the relationship with the kids, but it's the families that really is where all of the ministry happens. Because if I wasn't connected with the child, I would never meet these families and help them get their needs met. And I've had the blessing, and especially in the last few years, families, I've been able to have conversations about Christ with them, and just let them know, like, I'm praying you guys through this. Like, just saying those words to me, even if it doesn't mean anything to them right then, I know that there will be a moment in time that there's significance in me saying that I'm going to pray you through this. I mean, who knows? They may not know Jesus. They may not, but I'm able to put those things out there. It just opens the door for that opportunity. So I feel like that's where the ministry part comes in.
That's really good.
And, I don't feel like in our lives that we always get the opportunity to, like in our small groups, we've had this conversation about we don't always know, like, are we making a difference? I don't know that I had an opportunity to, witness to somebody or whatever, but it's funny, I realized this year because of that conversation we had, like, I do have opportunity, so much more than I thought that I did. Just by saying, I'm going to pray for you today, or with my coworkers, encouraging them. We work in a really broken system in our school system, especially working with special needs kids. There's just such a lack of money and support in that division of our schools that teachers are exasperated. They don't feel like they have what they need to help, and being able to be there for each other and literally be able to pray for them, send them a message, or help them with their children that are in their classroom, to help them feel they're loved and what they're going through is important, is a ministry, I think.
I agree, no doubt. I think one of the things that you mentioned just a moment ago, the idea where you said that you always want to look for, are we making a difference and things like that. But I think sometimes we try to measure those things in big moments, but ministry can just happen in little moments. I mean, a smile on a kid's face because he gets to do an activity that stimulates him, or he is able to connect the dots in terms of something he's learning because of what you've created. That's ministry. I mean, it doesn't have to be this big conversion thing. It'd just be a blessing for them that day in that moment. So that's good.
It's funny you say that, because again, going back to one of our groups, I had mentioned to our group that we have a child that doesn't speak, 3rd grade kiddo that does not speak, doesn't have words, and I can't imagine being an 8-year-old little boy never having said a word, watching all this stuff going on around you and not being able to say a word. And then I said this to our group and said, this is what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to get this boy a communication board, and everybody just seemed willing to help in some way. And the fact that I was, from somebody offering to give me an iPad or a tablet, I went to my school and said, I have this piece of machinery, and was able to tell our speech therapist and the communications department. And it's funny how, like, overnight they were able to find him the right communication board. And it was out of other people's love and ministry that we were able to make something happen. So it was funny, the ministry to me was loving on this kid. Like, for me, that's what I wanted to do for him. And I wound up getting ministered to from my peers out of my passion.
That's cool.
And I just thought that was a really cool thing, that I'm trying to, like, be aware of stuff like that, which, again, going to a small group, like, that is a huge thing that I probably would not have thought about, trying to be aware of those moments if I wasn't involved somehow.
That's true.
And that ministry came back to me. It was a pretty neat thing.
That is awesome. So one more question. How about, so if you were going to talk to someone who is maybe wrestling in their work environment, with whatever that is, how do you approach your work in terms of your prayer life, and how might your position in your prayer life as you go to work maybe be an encouragement to someone else?
This is a daily thing for me, because I start out every day with some kind of devotional or that kind of thing, but I personally have to go to God every single day and ask for humility, that I not do anything in vain, because I think I struggle with that. But outside of that I just put God's will first, because I didn't know. I didn't know, 15 years ago that I would have a passion to be able to have my career be a ministry in a sense. So if it weren't for that prayer every day and asking for clarity and wisdom in that, I don't know that you will ever really find that. You may stumble on it. I think that's probably rare, but I think we have to be intentional about our prayer life, and that especially when it comes to our career. If you're gonna work, if you have to work, that you need to be intentional about that. And I think ministry is meant to be part of our work. I just think that if you're a Christian, I just feel like that's how it should be.
Yeah, they go hand in hand, don't they?
Yeah, I don't think that you can do really anything without that purpose.
Yeah, very good. So.